Good afternoon and welcome back to United TV. Michael Carrick looks set to be announced as permanent head coach. I've got a poll in the comments just to say whether you think that's good, bad. Should Man United have considered other options, or is it a no-brainer to make sure Carrick is permanent next season? That's probably the big talking point, and it's something that probably Man United need to get sorted out as soon as possible. And I'm of the mindset that even if Manchester United were looking at someone beyond Carrick, I still think they should try and get this resolved as soon as possible. The season is almost over, and there's going to be a lot of work to either get Carrick different coaches or to get different coaches at the club in general. So I think there's definitely a lot of work to be done. And if this gets announced, that it feels a little bit like it might get announced almost like today, tomorrow, something very soon. So I think this is going to be something we talk about relatively quickly, and it will be good news. Good news. Um, for people that have been watching in the live chat for maybe like a couple of weeks, I do have like a bit of a channel update thing to put out there. It's something which it's not bad. It's not bad news, but I wanted to try and wait. So maybe for a few minutes, if people are in the chat, just I think most people that normally watch are in the comments because it's something that I can't really do too much myself about this, but I'll try and explain the issue. What I might do is maybe do a short video to show a few screenshots to kind of illustrate the problem that I've got with the channel. It's not a serious issue, but it's something which is frustrating more than anything. And so this is kind of how I'll explain it. So if you watched Manchester United YouTube content and you've watched this channel for maybe a month, for example, you might have noticed that for a couple of weeks the content hasn't changed. There were loads of there's a lot of quite an active community, a lot of views, a lot of videos maybe getting I don't know 1,000, 2,000 views, which is really good considering we're kind of restarting. So everything's moving in the right direction. Subscriber base building up nicely, reconnecting with members of the community. So everything looking good. And looking at the YouTube analytics, there seemed to be a shift about 2 weeks ago, and this is really bizarre that YouTube is now pushing my content towards American political viewers. So if you look at suggested videos, maybe 2 weeks ago, the people that were watching my channel and the people that it was recommended to watch my videos were pretty much people that watch United Stand, Forever United TV, United View, Stretford Paddock, completely stand no, all Manchester United football content. So the algorithm's working perfectly. If you watch the United Stand, you watch Forever United TV, you watch United View, you watch any of those channels, you're going to be probably going to be watching my channel as well because it's going to be very similar content. We're going to be talking about the news. We're going to be maybe it's more interactive on this channel, but the general content is if you're interested in Manchester United, you're interested in football, you're going to watch all these ones, like you're going to watch all those ones. And the issue that I've got recently is that Manchester United content, that when I look at which channels are being recommended my channel, there's a lot of channel, it's mainly Donald Trump political channels. So again, I don't know what's happened here, but all I would be saying is that YouTube based it because my channel's quite small. YouTube essentially looks at which people share my streams, which people post comments, etc. So if you all I'll say is that if you watch if you watch football content and you watch United Stand, Forever United TV, any of those, please share the video, please post comments because it's going to link it together with YouTube. YouTube will go actually, people that watch United Stand, people that watch Forever United TV will also watch United TV will also watch Stretford Paddock, so that will help. If you do watch huge amounts of non-football related content in the short term, please don't please don't support the channel in the way of please don't support the channel in the way of sharing the stream, posting comments, etc. Because I think it's confusing the algorithm. So it's a bit rubbish and it's a bit annoying, and there's not much I can do about it apart from be very consistent. And I've kind of like leveled into I'm being very consistent and focusing on Manchester United. I can't really be more focused. That every single video is about Manchester United Football Club, and everybody watching has some interest in Manchester United Football Club, and I appreciate there's other interests as well. But if it would be the same sort of thing if everybody was interested in cooking, say 50% of people were obsessed with cooking and you shared my content, YouTube might go, hang on a minute, let's post that Rich's content towards cooking channels. And that would obviously be a disaster. So it does go to show that the algorithm's a mess. I might try and do like a YouTube short just to reach more people. But one thing I would say was just as a general rule, if you watch football content and you enjoy the football content on this channel, please share the stream. Please leave comments on any videos after as well, because I think it's going to help massively. So if you're able to do that, it will help massively. If football content is something you consume, very small percentage of what you watch on YouTube, maybe don't share the streams, maybe don't leave comments on videos as much. It's annoying, but that's the only thing I can think of, because 2 weeks ago, uh, the videos were being recommended to every single football channel, which was excellent, and now it's being recommended to political viewers who have no interest in Manchester United. There may be a small overlap, but again, this is what I was thinking. So if you're able to take that message, and if that makes sense, then that would be perfect, because it's a bit frustrating, because I think there's some really good people on the channel putting out some great content, and it's been like a really good community. The people watching the live chat, excellent comments, lots of knowledgeable football fans. It's kind of frustrating that it feels a bit like the door's being shut and no one else from outside is allowed to see what's going on in the channel. So at the moment, it's really difficult to do that one. So yeah, as this is like very important to myself, very important. If you watch football YouTube and football YouTube is what you always look at, then please just share the stream with, because YouTube will look at it and go, who's sharing United TV content, and are they who are the most interactive viewers, and it will then look at what things you watch, and if you watch loads of other football stuff, it will be excellent, and it'll be good. It's just it's a frustrating point, isn't it? It is frustrating, because I think everything else in terms of like the community is going really well, and that's the only thing I wanted to say. So hopefully, if you just tuned in expecting me to talk about Michael Carrick, I was just trying to look at that as well. So yeah, no, it seems to be very, very specific, very, very focused. So again, what I'm saying is, if you watch other stuff, it's fine. Obviously, it's fine, but if you watch mainly football YouTube content, that's probably the main people that should be sharing the stream. The algorithm is hopeless, says Rob. It is hopeless. I don't know what's happened, but I was looking at it wondering, how come there's like 2,000 people, 2,000 views on a video, and then 2 days later there's 200? And it's literally, if you put the content into the hands of people that watch the United Stand and other football channels, obviously the United Stand's the big one, then it's absolutely fine, isn't it? And then when you look at pushing the video in front of an audience that doesn't want it, it's ridiculous, isn't it? It's ridiculous. It's like pushing me towards Anfield, and I'll be walking away not wanting to watch that rubbish. But if you push me, you won't have to push me towards Old Trafford. So that's the opposite. So let's go back to Manchester United content. That's enough of like algorithm chat for people that are not interested in YouTube. But it's something that's really annoying and frustrating, put it that way. And so yeah, Lucky, if you watch United Stand, Lucky, you're an ideal person to make sure you share this channel and leave comments after the video. It'll be brilliant. Okay, so let's go back to the point that we're coming to here to talk about. Michael Carrick in line for permanent Manchester United head coach job. Recommendation apparently being made to the football leaders by the executive committee, which is led by Sir Jim Radcliffe. So it seems a little bit like it's a done deal. It looks a little bit like the people that are recommending this are pretty much the people that make the decision. So in terms of this, I would imagine that the Glazers, like, how much are they going to be involved in this? Why would you not? Helgi, you get to keep your hair. You get to keep your hair, because you said that Carrick would be a done deal. If it's here we go, then Helgi will be allowed to keep more hair than myself, unfortunately, for people that wanted to see that. Um, Leffis says Barada and Wilcox out. I've not heard anybody say. Actually, usually people say Wilcox, but Barada, he seems to be. I know not talked about too much, but no, I have definitely got what was I going to say? I've definitely got like an emoji. And people that there's a lot of channel members suddenly now. There's like quite a lot of custom emojis in there if you want to use those. And so welcome, Broken Verdict. Thanks for joining the call-in show on the weekend as well. So I'm 50-50 on Carrick. So I would say that I would be I look at the results Carrick's got, and I'm pretty happy with what's happened over like since January. I think it's to finish third in the league is pretty much the top end of expectations. Okay, people would like to see maybe different football or more exciting football, but in terms of like results, the main thing for Manchester United was make sure you get Champions League football. We're going to go into a busy transfer window, and the fact we're finishing third means that players that do you remember last season when Liam Delap chose Chelsea over Manchester United? Do you see any sensible football player looking at Chelsea in the same way as he did last season? And I think Manchester United have elevated ourselves above, certainly Chelsea by miles, and other clubs we're now finishing above. So even like teams like Aston Villa or Liverpool that finished above us last season, we're going to finish above them. And for me, that's a big step. So Michael Carrick's a big part of that. The coaching behind him is also a big part of that. But it does mean that then the transfer window, I feel, can be very different, where that we're not going to have to we're not going to have to sell the project and say, we don't have Champions League football, but we can offer other things. Like we can offer Champions League football, and it's one at the point where it'd be interesting from my point of view that did Manchester United actually look at other options that because I don't mind Michael Carrick being appointed if they think he's the right man for the job, and the transfer window for me is the most like important thing. But did they actually? There was a lot of stories linking Man United to different coaches, different managers. Did Manchester United actually do any? I was going to say research. Did they actually speak to people and make a judgment? Because I think Michael Carrick should be in the conversation for sure. I just think that just to have a sensible process, Michael Carrick should be there plus other options. That's what I was thinking. Lucky says football is a results-based business. Let's get it right. He says, let's get facts right. Yeah, it is. It is definitely. It is definitely a football. It is definitely a results-based business. My point was going to be, does it is it one of the situations where like are results enough? Because the thing is, people when we were in January, then yeah, thank you, Ollie. Because I was going to say, if people got some comments on different opinions, please get them in. So I don't want Carrick at all. I'm seeing a disaster. The last games, say the stats are showing that we're not getting better, we're getting worse. And you said you're 80% sure he gets the job. I think it looks like it's a done deal, doesn't it? Like it looks like we're drifting towards here we go with Carrick. If you do get here we goes for managers, you probably do actually. Fabrizio is not going to miss a chance to cash in on a Manchester United story. So we will get here we go. And if you're looking at the situation, then who are the options? Like who were the other options? A big up to you, my man in Norway, Mr. Helgi. Thank you for becoming a United TV member. So big up to you. I think this one the I'm happy to take any comments and read out comments regarding whether you think it's a good thing or a bad thing regarding Michael Carrick in charge. I'm somewhat neutral because I'm not sure. In the short term, I'm not sure how much difference it makes having a different head coach. I think maybe 2 years down the line, if you're looking at Manchester United, say we got a very good transfer window and we got midfield sorted out and we got a left back, we maybe got, we did a lot of business in the window. The question would still remain then is right, how does this squad cope with Champions League football and the Premier League? And would it make a massive difference getting a particular head coach in instead of Carrick? Like, would there be a learning curve or would there be an adaptation process? I'm not sure. I don't have the answer for that one. But in the short term, I feel like it makes sense keeping Carrick. I can see why they would because it feels less risky. Michael Carrick's football, people will say that it hasn't been as exciting recently, but Man United aren't getting beaten badly. Like the defeats we've had under Carrick, there's only two and it's by a single goal each time, 2-1 defeats, I believe. So looking at the results, the worst case scenario for Man United is they're losing close games. The best case scenario is we've actually beaten all of the top sort of six teams in the Premier League since he took over, which is really good. And if you're beating top half teams, I think naturally you're going to be doing okay against bottom half teams for most of the season. But no, I think there's obviously people want to see options because I think people would be like, yeah, big up Helgi. Yeah, it's a recentish thing. You've been jet setting a lot. I say, did they watch the Sunderland, Newcastle, and Leeds game? Says Leffer. I think this at this point in time, how many games has he taken charge of? It must be how many is it? Like about 15 games, is it? Something like that. Carrick's taking charge of. and it's something like I can't remember how the facts. Is it something like 12 wins, couple of draws, couple of defeats? So maybe it's like 16 games. And look at the results. Like I think when you say Sunderland, Newcastle, Leeds games, those are the three worst games, aren't they? The three best games are probably going to be Arsenal. Who else would you say? Arsenal and City are definitely the top two games. And then maybe you could say that first half of Liverpool were really good. Then we gave some away some silly mistakes, but they were individual errors. You could say that we started pretty well against Brentford, but you could pick out a few good results, a few bad results, and a few kind of mediocre results. But I think the end result is that we picked up way more points, like an extra point per game in the second half of the season. So the trend was pretty good. So I'm happy with the results. I'm more worried how the games go performance wise, say Fulham, Sunderland, Palace, etc. So you're worried this is Ollie 2.0. So give me the options. Yeah, this is the thing is that if there was an option, like a serious option, that and if Manchester United said, look, we're going to interview, you know how we have such short lists for strikers and midfielders, and we have like a short list. It would be a really interesting debate. And so Yali, yeah, I mean, I made pizza dough yesterday actually, so I could have obviously I don't think that content would fly on the channel too much, but I don't know about I don't know if G what G was like in the kitchen, so it might be a bit risky. I'll be up to you, Daz. No, I thought it'd be really interesting content to have a stream where we go right. Manchester United are going to interview some candidates and Michael Carrick, so you could have a debate and go right. There's Carrick, or there's Nagelsmann, or there's Areola. I'm trying to think of any other candidates we've been linked to that are credible. I think Luis Enrique feels like a massive stretch, and maybe there wasn't loads of options. Like if you're thinking of like serious options, I think Areola was talked about. You could say Nagelsmann was talked about, and Nagelsmann might have been wanted by Vavell. I think this is why we're seeing that it's not happened just yet. So I think regarding this one, that if you're looking at the recommendations being made, that maybe there's a couple of people that want to get Michael Carrick, and I'm sure Christopher Vavell still wants to get Nagelsmann if that's if that's possible. So it might be that they're not 100% sure on it's that they might not all be agreed at the moment. But I don't think they've had the same sort of process that people are wanting. Like I think an interview process would have been a really good debate because we could have talked about the pros and cons of each option and decided that one. Tony says, I think he's got the job by default and saying there's no one else decent available. It did seem that there was less people available than we thought. We had this story and there was a lot of international managers that were being linked. And I thought that at the time, it seemed that at the time, the first thing that happened was I remember talking about this. As soon as Man United were talked about looking for a new head coach or for next season, it seemed that Ancelotti extended his stay with the national team. It seemed like Tuchel then signed an extension with England, and it felt like a few of the names that might have been thrown out there were suddenly off the table. So I saw that as going to be a situation where I was thinking there's actually it's a bit like a Duracell advert, isn't it? Where you have one candidate, then they drop away, then another candidate drops away, then another candidate drops away. And I think every sort of, if you've been following the story like I have, every couple of weeks there's a new name linked, and it's like, oh, now we're looking at Nagelsmann. Okay, Man United are going to speak to Nagelsmann. Then that goes quite quiet, and then you have a next story where it's like, oh, Man United interested in Areola, and I don't know if there was interest, but then that's kind of disappeared. And it seems that all that's happening is Michael Carrick's still there, still in the job, and it becomes like there's like fewer and fewer options, doesn't it? So it's a really strange one. And Neil says to the fans on here, say Carrick, say we had top managers before, and that didn't go great. That's true. Man United have tried a lot of combinations of managers. I think the one thing Man United haven't tried is I think Man United haven't tried getting a top manager and then backing them with sensible transfers that fit a coherent plan. That's the one thing Man United haven't tried. We tried getting all sorts of different managers in, and we tried throwing them like some crap transfer windows at them and wondering why it's not working. And if you look at Man City's plan and you look at what Arsenal did a rebuild over a few years, gradually, piece by piece, fix their first team. This season, though, they've gone like, I don't know, pretty negative in terms of how they played, but they might get over the line. Manchester City throw money at the team every single season. They do buy pretty much recognised quality with like Haaland, and I think this season you got Cherky and you got Reindeers and like decent players coming in. And there's the menu for me and Gahey are obvious good Premier League signings as well. So City are doing exactly what Man United used to do, spending quite big money on Premier League established players that you know are going to work quite well. At Manchester United, we haven't really backed our manager with a transfer window, apart from maybe last year and hopefully this year, that made loads of sense. That quite often it was like shirt selling signings over actually what does the squad actually need. So I think it's a combination of two things that if Ineos are going to get this transfer strategy right, that's going to be probably just as important for the long-term success of Manchester United as a managerial appointment is. So maybe this is also another question: is what's the most important thing for United? Is it getting the head coach right? That at this point in time, that this summer, is it about getting the first team fixed with decent transfers, or is it about getting the head coach position correctly? If you had to pick one or the other, like which would be the most important? Because I saw a story about maybe about a month ago, and what it was saying was they feel like it's easier to, it's more important to fix the team because they feel like their managers can be changed quite quickly. If you get the team wrong, you pretty much it's difficult, isn't it? If you mess up the transfer window, you've got to wait a whole season. Things get worse. You could drop out of Champions League. If you mess up the managerial appointment, then this season they've shown that halfway through you can change. It's not ideal, but it is a way of looking at it. So Rodri closer to renewing his contract with Man City. So Mata Morato. I don't know if that affects our transfer window, but we'll see. There's a few things to happen, isn't there? That maybe Anderson is like 1% closer to Man United. United have said they won't announce the manager until the summer, says Yarley. We don't know how many they've talked to, and so these guys are using NDAs to shut people up. I think this is something also that's happened with Man United, and fair play to them that a lot of information is less available now. That there's a lot of people. You see a lot of news that comes out there, and it's a bit sketchy, and then things come out after the time, don't they? I'm sure Man United have spoken to managers, like I'm sure they have behind the scenes, and it probably feels like a no-brainer they would have done that. So I think they definitely have tried to keep a lid on the sort of things that are being pushed out there, and I think that's going to be clearly important. Big up to you, Gaz. United. If you just join the stream, Gaz, the first 5 minutes I was explaining like a little issue with the channel, but if you're a Man United fan, which I've seen you on a few channels, as in like you watch a lot of content, please share the stream. If you're able to post comments after the videos are finished as well, that's really appreciated, Gaz. But big up for getting to the comments. Yanni says, if we'd looked good, I would have agreed Carrick would be the man. So you like I think it's like the style of football. Then I think the difficulty with the style of football, then will it improve? Like, is Michael Carrick's role this season pretty much get Champions League football at whatever cost, like whatever cost? And I was thinking that in January, I think if I'd have said like, what do people want regarding style of play? I thought no, I thought Man United would be results based initially, and we go right. Let's see where we finish in the league, and if we finish like say third or fourth, Carrick's probably going to get the job. I think that was what a lot of people thought in January, myself included. I think when it's come to the end of the season now, people's expectations on the team have suddenly changed. I think we've seen that there's good players in the squad, that we finished like third in the league. No one's been really consistent this season, apart from probably Arsenal towards the first part of the season, maybe City a bit recently. But there's a reason why those two teams are the top of the league. They've just been generally slightly more consistent. But a lot of teams have been a bit hit and miss this season. Bilal says, I think that you think that midfield is more important than the head coach. I would say, based on like the long-term standing of the club, I would say that probably if Man United could fix one aspect of the team, if I could have a say in who's the head coach or a say in which midfield players we sign, I would rather pick the midfield players. And I would say like if I was like to pick three midfield players for a sensible budget, I would be thinking that will make more impact on Man United's next season. than Carrick. I could be wrong, but I get the feeling that whatever happens, most managers don't stay at the club for a huge amount of time in the Premier League generally. So it's tricky, isn't it? So so I'll go for so unless Carrick does really well, he'll be gone. They will insert a break clause in his contract, which will limit any payout. There was something apparently in the Chelsea contract with Rossinha. I don't know if that was true or not, but if I was Chelsea, then why give a manager a 6 year contract when most managers don't survive more than a year at Chelsea? So that seems a bit silly. I would say as soon as someone decent is free, we'll go for him. I got the feeling that my guess is going to be that I think Manchester United's plan might well be to keep Michael Carrick, but then the expectation is going to be that Michael Carrick will have to probably hit certain metrics. That it might be a little bit like Newcastle when they had the takeover. Everybody thought Eddie Howe would be there for a short amount of time, and maybe this is the case. Like, I think with whatever Carrick does, I think finishing third in the league is really good, but it becomes now a benchmark. So if Michael Carrick finishes less than third, even though we got all the Champions League football, I can see it being like an issue for fans where they go, right, we finished third, now we're finishing like fourth or fifth, and it's difficult, isn't it? So I'll go through the positive and negative comments though. There is a poll in the chat as well, which I'll address in a second. And welcome into the chat. Good stream last night, Ian. He says I'm can't comment, but he said yeah, drive safely if you're listening while driving. He said Carrick is 100% deserves the job, so back him on our way to the promised land. I mean, I hope we well just being competitive in the league would be the first point of call, wouldn't it? And then so we've qualified for the Champions League, two defeats in 15. Players are needed and coming in. So the current squad is willing to die for this manager. We are looking at Bayern Munich assistant manager Aaron Danks. I've seen that as well. I get the feeling that Manchester United, this is going to be something that I don't know if people are going to be agreeing or disagreeing with this one. And it's going to be some sort of middle ground, I believe, and it's something I said about 2 weeks ago. Uh, and Manchester United are looking at, say, Michael Carrick plus Holland plus, yeah, you've got Woodgate, you've got Evans, you got the current coaching setup, and then you've got an alternative that may be a different manager that would bring a completely different coaching setup possibly to the group. But if you're looking at Man United, what they might be looking at is Michael Carrick got announced relatively quickly. I suppose relatively quickly, about a week after Amrin got sacked. Then the coaching would be put together relatively quickly when you compare, like, how quickly you're going to get other coaches in from different situations. And I think what's going to happen now is Man United will be looking at Michael Carrick and go, right, Carrick can be the head coach, but we're going to get some help from a little bit like the Carlos Queiroz Man United, Alex Ferguson. Alex Ferguson had a few different assistant managers over the time with different tactical ideas. And so it could be that the style of play is something that Manchester United look to shape. That's what I'm thinking. So I'm somewhat open-minded that I don't think there's going to be Michael Carrick plus exactly the same coaches. I think it's going to be Michael Carrick plus different coaches or a mixture of different coaches. But that's something that we're probably going to see announced probably over the summer at some point. That's what I'd be expecting if they keep Carrick. Like I'd be expecting. I think Carrick's going to stay, but I don't think all the coaches are going to stay. There some might, but yeah, it might be that they restructure things a little bit. I'd say doing it better than we did under Amrin. I think so. I think Michael Carrick and the coaches got a better team shape and a better level of performance or better results certainly out of the squad. I'd say RK is saying that Carrick is tactically weak. I think the question that I got though is that there might be people that work with Carrick, so it wouldn't be just Carrick. It would be if Carrick's going to have some tactical ideas, then maybe you're looking at, say, Bayern Munich assistant manager to come in with other ideas. So it wouldn't be exactly the same. I think a lot of people are looking at it thinking Michael Carrick will be, it'll be the same this season as it is next season. I don't think it will be, but also I think that Ineos, Glazers, whoever is making the calls regarding manager, the bar will be raised each year. As the squad improves, the expectation will be improving. If you remember last season, we finished 15th, and then there was articles out there saying that Jim Radcliffe believes this team is good enough for European football. So that's the European football is just seventh in the league, isn't it? So based on what you normally see, maybe seventh to eighth, and then the expectation, I think, pretty much when it got to Christmas time, the expectation was this team should be good enough to get Champions League football. We were currently about in fifth then, and we got Champions League football. So I think what we're seeing is now, if Man United get some good signings in, the expectation is going to be at least Champions League football. That we can't be dropping out of the Europa League and dropping down the table, even though we got Champions League football matches as well. So I think if Carrick doesn't work out, then I don't think he'll be here for a very long time. I think the bar will be raised, and it'll be difficult for him to. He's not going to be able to finish like fifth next season, I don't think, and not be a serious risk of being replaced. So I think the Champions League one, though, I think is a bit up in the air. Like I don't know. I think that Man United might do better in the Champions League than people think. In Premier League clubs do tend to have better squads than a lot of other European teams. Ian says there's no doubt that we're a better team now. Michael has achieved this, and say no other manager can guarantee better. Yeah, if you don't like Carrick, I suppose the question is going to be who do you see out there you would actually like to see. So Yari says I've heard that Holland is done, but we will see. I think that some of these people came in a short term capacity to try and bring some stability to the club. I think it was just try and get some basic organisation into this. But so the story is out there that the coaches will all get new contracts with Carrick. Yeah, that's probably something that's going to be. I guess that's going to be scrutinised, and we'll find out when that happens because that's going to be quite a big story. I'm guessing that they might be. Maybe some of the coaches will stay, but they will add to the coaching staff. So maybe that's going to be. Yeah, I mean, I'm looking forward to Champions League football, so we'll be covering every match and that. So we will have, we will be able to actually evaluate how that goes, won't we, for sure? So let's jump into the comments. I think at the moment, Jim, I think other channels might be reporting on it, but there might not be. I don't think Man United will be leaking information, so it might be speculative. I think some journalists are might maybe guessing a little bit on what's going to happen. I think most people reporting, like if you follow Solly, he was saying that Man United leaning towards Carrick about say the 11th of May. So I think people have been predicting this for a while, but I don't think people know exactly. So if people say this person's going to leave, this person's going to come in, I don't think anyone knows at the moment. But if Man United are looking at, you know, if you're looking at different things, then yeah, is Ariola tactically weak? Says we deserve better. Say one draw from the most draws ever in a Premier League season. Is he able to win? I think that the scrutiny. I think Ariola, the scrutiny would change if he became Manchester United manager. It would be a different situation, wouldn't it? That you can get away with not going under the radar, but you don't get scrutinised quite so much if you're at a different club, do you? Let's say 1 to 4 normally is Champions League, fifth Europa. Yeah, no, but I think generally Man United's expectation was we'd finish in like like top four at Christmas time. I think we're actually in fifth position, weren't we, at that point? And welcome to Chat Coders. He says, from what I hear, is getting the job. I'm okay with Carrick getting the job, but the board needs to seriously back him in the summer. I think so. I think that's the case. That's, you're saying that once again the Glazers are outside. I don't think the Glazers are involved. I think the Glazers are pretty hands off. So this is going to come down to probably Wilcox, Barada, and Vavell. I think that's going to be, yeah, I think that's going to be what's happening here. So I don't think, honestly, I don't think the Glazers are hands-on involved unless things are going badly wrong. I think they're going to be taking a back seat in this. So this is probably going to be on Ineos making the decision. And in terms of taking care of football things, I think they're looking at the situation and just thinking, right, he got third. That there's something there. They're gonna back him in the transfer window and see what he can do. But let's have a look at the poll. At the moment, if you haven't voted on the poll, I don't know what the percentage is. I'll just have a quick check. But it looks that on the poll, I don't. See if I can see the percentages because it's like a yes no one. It's kind of easiest for me to see. So at the moment, it's really close to 50-50. 53% say it's a good decision, 47% say not a good decision. So let me know in the comments who you think Man United should have got if they shouldn't have got Carrick. If there's a clear favourite in your mind, then this is the stream to let me know. Because once it's a done deal, then we're probably going to move past looking at previous managers and focus on the transfer news as well. Yeah, no, this will come from Ineos, won't it? Who's making the decision? Ian says, I don't understand why everyone's saying we need a world-class manager and say, give me a name. I think you have to give a realistic name as well. If you think there's going to be if you think there's a clear candidate that is what for one available, two definitely interested in joining Manchester United, then put the names down there and your reasons for why they'll do a much better job than Michael Carrick. But so is there Ian's saying that is there any manager that's available that would give better results than Michael Carrick? And that's probably again, it's an individual opinion, isn't it? Real Madrid finished in second, removing the interim. I think the Spanish league's a little bit different regarding like Real Madrid would never finish 15th, would they? I say Enrique, Conte, Carrick, Glasner, Areola, any of them will fail without proper funding. Do you think Conte would be popular at Man United? I'm not sure about this one. I'm not sure. And yeah, maybe with this one that when it's if it gets announced, maybe the prediction we'll do a prediction stream after the transfer window because at the moment it's really difficult to predict how the transfer is going to go. But I remember last season, I think I predicted like seventh in the league as a prediction. So maybe we'll do better than people are thinking. Curtis says now it's about the summer spending. If Carrick gets the cash to spend, so I don't think Carrick will be spending the cash, but I think Carrick might be advising them a little bit as well. I think if Man United didn't if Manchester United didn't actually invest properly in the squad, then it wouldn't really matter who's head coach. Real Madrid changed managers like hot dinner. Yeah, you have to be friends with Mbappe and Valverde. It seems to stay around at Real Madrid. It's a very what's the best way of putting it? Yeah, it's a bit like Chelsea. Like you don't stay manager Chelsea very long, even if you do okay. You get sacked quite quickly. Tony says Pep when he leaves City this summer. Can you imagine Pep Guardiola going to Man? Like, would okay if Pep Guardiola did leave City in the summer, would you take him as Manchester United manager? Like, would people be happy for someone to jump from City? Like, we have got people from them in the past, like we've got board members, etc. But would you take Pep from City? That's that would be a. If I saw a story about that one, I don't know what to think. That my first reaction would be if Pep leaves City. I'm not sure he's going for a club. I'm just thinking he might go for international management, or maybe he'd take a bit of a break. He's been at City a long time. I think quite. He's probably been at City as long as he was at like Barca and Bayern, hasn't he? He's been there a long time. Big up to you, Jordan. I say it's kind of the same thing between United and Real Madrid. They picked from their own as an interim. Difference is one club's got ambitions, the others do not. I think we're going to get about five to six players in. Is my guess. So he's saying that's not. I think what United are going to do is they're going to have five players, maybe five transfer fees coming in, and then maybe you look at an academy player, play a few more games. But I would say there's a minimum of five, hopefully six or more. But you never know with this one. Yeah, Pep Guardiola at United would be. I don't know. It would be certainly interesting football content for a couple of days of people processing that information. I think he's going to become an international manager, is my guess, but I don't know. I don't know. I'm not sure what his end game at City is. Is he going to go out on a high? Like he could have gone out with a treble-winning season a few years ago. Is he going to just? He's not going to beat Manchester United's records in the Premier League. So I'm not sure if there's like something. If he beat Arsenal this season, it did feel a bit like January transfer window was pretty much get Pep over the line this season with like Semenyo and Gahey, but I'm not sure whether I'm not sure whether he'd be looking to move to another club. Certainly not one that's going to not have the resources City had this season. Danny says we haven't got a big enough checkbook for Pep. No, that is true. That's true. I'm not sure where you go from here, unless he's looking to go to PSG. I'm not really sure. No, it's a bit of a strange one, that isn't it? I think international management, but I'm not sure whereabouts he'd go. And Curtis says Ineos have got to step up if they name Carrick as manager and then they say they won't spend big Carrick stuff. Yeah, I think he's got it. This is the same for any head coach, though, is my point of view. That if Man United, if we picked like Luis Enrique as a good option, like if we picked Luis Enrique as head coach and Luis Enrique was interested, like how good would what would be the maximum you could get out of this squad with like an okay transfer window? Would it elevate us into a title race? Because if we can finish third, we've got to kind of assume that Liverpool will improve next season. We've got to assume that probably trying to think actually. No, I don't see improvements for Chelsea. Newcastle, I don't really see improving. But I think Arsenal, City, and Liverpool are the three teams that are going to be in and around fighting for the Premier League. Can Man United jump to reach that gap with a different, with a head coach? Like if we got a good transfer window with Carrick or a good transfer window with a different head coach, would it make a difference? Like because I think we're realistically we're going to be signing about 5 players, possibly one more. And so, who better to shape and develop United's new summer midfielders than one of the best midfielders who's won the lot? Played under Fergie, learnt coaching alongside Mourinho and Solskjaer. So when you look at that, then that's that you quite make it actually you make a good argument for some of the some of the reasons why possibly he would be a good option. I think a lot of people look at experience and then yeah. When I saw this, I thought what manage Italy, the national team. I think the national team needs a bit of work, doesn't it? And United, I said in 6 years it'll be 20 years since won the Premier League. So no, it is a long time. I think this is why United need to be mindful that the team's not going to be there next season. I don't think it's going to be ready to challenge for a title unless there was a phenomenal transfer window. But I think if you're looking at the players we're signing, the idea seems to be that our team peaks in a couple of years, 2 or 3 years, like from last year. So if you think Yoro, a couple of years, Aiden Heaven, a few more years, Mainu, a few more years, Dorgu, it feels like most of our team will get better. And maybe in 2 years' time, we're talking about like a Semenyo deal to get someone. If we need someone in, we'll spend quite big money on that one. Yanni says Chelsea will take top 5 next season with Alonso. I don't think they'll be in a title race though, is like my guess. That's what I was thinking regarding if United want to be in a title race, we've got to try and catch Liverpool, City, and Arsenal in terms of depth. I think Chelsea have got a lot of players, but I'm not sure their first 11's as good as those other teams. It's a tricky one. So just to have a quick check on the poll again, please vote if you can vote. It's currently I'm not sure what the percentage is. Why can't I see the percentage? I think this is going to be maybe one of the closest polls we've had to like 50-50. Oh, it looks like yes is winning a bit now. It's more like 60-40. So a few more Carrick fans in the chat than earlier. But no, maybe people are just like expecting like this to be a done deal now. So one of our greatest managers ever was assistant with Scousers. Why not Pep? No, I'm not saying that we couldn't have Pep. I'd be interested to see what people's views were if Pep was available. Like, would they be looking at that one? Yeah, I know. I'll be it to you, Stephanie. Yeah, any comments on the video after we finish will be absolutely fantastic as well. Just people that are watching, that people that watch lots of football YouTube. Daz says, when Kobe signed, I knew. Actually, that's a good point. That's a really good point because I said the same thing. You just kind of like triggered something in my mind that I remember saying about. Do you remember there was talk about Kobe's transfer issue like about his contract about a month ago, or like it's been going on for quite a long time. And I remember on a stream, I just said like Kobe Mainoo didn't get into the team under Amarin in the same way that Ahmad Diallo did not get into the team under Eric Ten Hag. And I said at the time, actually, I said if Kobe Mainoo is thinking about his contract, he probably wants to know who the head coach is going to be. And and I did say at the time, actually, Daz, you reminded me. I did say at the time that if Co-Main is thinking about it, maybe he waits to the summer to find out who the next head coach is, to find out if he's in the team, because he seems to be one of the players that is was very much at risk. Like if Amarin didn't want Co-Main in the team, but Michael Carrick did, the next head coach might look at new signings coming in, and then Co-Main might struggle to get back into the team because it might be a difference of opinion from head coaches. So maybe you're right, Daz. Maybe they internally the club kind of knew what was going to happen. So yeah, that's going back about that's about a week to the day, isn't it? Didn't Kobe Mainoo sign his contract about a week ago? Because then the first actually was it well, maybe it's about 10 days ago. Like because Kobe Mainoo signed his contract, then a few days later scored the winner against Liverpool. Our last game was Sunderland, so about 10 days ago. Yeah, maybe 2 weeks to like the day it happened. So yeah, you could be right, Daz. Kate, you must be hungry. If you're not supposed to eat the packaging of sandwiches. You do realize how this works. Okay, let's go for a few of the chat as well. Now, big up to people that are clicking in, watching, and clicking like. And I just see Mo in the chat as well. I can't find your comment, Mo, but big up to you, Mo. Do I think there was any interest in Enzo Maresca? I saw that Enzo Maresca was definitely talked about as a potential Pep replacement, wasn't he, at one point? And there might have been. I think the question is going to be that would Enzo Maresca be, on Manchester United's radar as a significant improvement from Michael Carrick? Because I think when you're looking at improvements, it's got to be like significant improvements, isn't it? It's really difficult. I mean, cake. I get hungry, but I do open this. I open the packaging first. I'll say that. Um, yeah, Chelsea are in a mess. After the carrot poll, can I do a poll if United fans would want Pep if he was available? Yeah, let's right. We're going to close the carrot poll and we're going to replace it with a Pep Guardiola poll for I don't know how this is going to go, but we'll put it out there. Big up to you, Clive. Good to see you, Clive. So let's have a look at the poll. I'll close the poll and get the reaction. So this is the results of the Michael Carrick poll, and it feels like it's going to be a done deal, but we're just going to wait for confirmation. There's been a couple. This has been building for a few days in terms of what I've seen on social media, so it feels like it's going to happen relatively soon. Maybe this happens. Would it happen after the Man United game? I'm guessing. But is Carrick staying good news? So two-thirds of people voting say it is good news. A third of people voting say no. And I think a lot of people that said no, the reasons were quite clear in the chat. They feel that it should have been more of an interview process, maybe more options considered. And there's a question mark over style of play, how it's going to work in the Champions League. So genuine concerns, but two-thirds of people genuinely optimistic. So let's do the Pep Guardiola poll to see what people think about this one. So this one will be genuinely interesting because he's obviously a good manager. The City links, he does need money. Would it work at United? Would you take Pep as head coach next season? Is the question. So let's just type that out. This one I have no idea what to expect from people watching. Would you take Pep as head coach next season if he left City? That's a big one, isn't it? That's a difficult one to predict from people watching. I'll read out a few comments though, see what people think about that initially. But it will, when you talk about things dividing opinion, this will probably divide opinion as much as anything. But we will do that to find out the reaction. So Pepper spent close to 2 billion euros since he signed. How many years is that one? Kate said, "Did you find his style of football boring?" So a no. And so nope, I don't want Pep. Not now. In a year, yes. You're saying okay. In a year, you take him, but not now, says Yoli. Pep to go to international football in the end. It's a reunion for all the managers. Debassa says, "I want no rivals or ex-managers." My view is Pep ruined the Premier League. I'll get him his taxi. So I would prefer the Don as manager with Carrick as the number two for a year or two to give Carrick the experience he needs. So reading the comments, it looks like I can't see the poll result at the moment, but reading a few of the comments, it said it should be: Would you rather take Pep or Klopp to see who gets the most votes? Where I think Klopp might struggle based on he's a Liverpool manager. His results weren't as good as Pep. The problem with Klopp football was it seemed to be like one good season followed by a massive drop off from this one. So Brian Kidd went from assistant at United City. That's a good point. That's a good point, Tony. Rob said I'd take Pep in a heartbeat. So that would rock the football world. But if he's scratching at the MC, he'll be much worse at United. Yeah, it's going to be. It would be. I will say this: like Pep Guardiola does seem to be trying to play football slightly differently this season. Whether that's going to be make them more entertaining, it's difficult to envisage Man United fans. I suppose like wondering what they're going to expect from Pep Guardiola. Like would they have? What would we be seeing? One thing that could happen is if Pep Guardiola was in charge, would it make it easier to sign different players? Because one thing that Pep's got that Alex Ferguson had, it does seem to be this relentless winning trophies. Okay, it does need money, but Manchester United do spend money. Right, we do spend a lot of money, and it does take money to play Pep's football. You would need to spend a lot. So Pep has never built a team from scratch. He went like, yeah, City were already successful. Bayern Munich were already winning the league anyway. City did have league titles, but Man United, I suppose you could say, were closer than we were than than this one. So we're closer than we were, but it's still, yeah, tricky. Would City build a statue for Pep? I'm guessing that Rodri's like the only Ballon d'Or winner, isn't he, for Manchester City? So you'd have to have a statue of him, wouldn't you? Even though, in my opinion, I think Haaland's the most important player they've had. But Rodri won the Ballon d'Or, and I think Man United, yeah, Man United's Trinity statue is pretty much three Ballon d'Or winners in the '60s, isn't it? If anything, Manchester United should have if they're going to have a new statue, then Alex Ferguson would have to be a shout. I mean, they got the Alex Ferguson stand, but you'd have to look at like Ronaldo as a Ballon d'Or winner, Wayne Rooney is like the leader of like the most goals scored, etc., and Giggs for like his attributes. But there's a lot, isn't there, they could do. I'm not sure about Pep, but you're saying you don't want Pep. People say Mourinho was finished. He's going back to the biggest club in the planet, and say Pep's still got decades left. I think sometimes you need like a. Do you remember when people said Alex Ferguson was like finished in was it 2004 or five when like Mourinho was winning trophies at Chelsea, and then Alex Ferguson remained manager of Manchester United. We saw Mourinho get fired twice from Chelsea in that time. I say Barcelona already a super team when he took it. Yeah, no, he hasn't really built a team. That's the but one thing you would say is that would it be easier to build a team with Pep because certain players might go there? It might be it might be a reason. That's all I'm saying. But what is your? I would say for me that's not the best reason, Cake, for obvious reasons. Myself and like some very esteemed guests might be. Big to you people, people that have just tuned in as well. Please, like, yeah, please just watch the first 5 minutes of the stream as well because it's something to try and fix on the channel. I say, where did Dennis Law go? Yeah, that's true. That's true. I think Man United like falling apart by that point, weren't they? So I say Mourinho's a great manager, let down by his bad man management. I think Mourinho's the sort of manager you get in for a couple of seasons. He does win things, but things actually fall apart. Things actually fall apart. And welcome Omar to the chat. And you were pretty calm when you joined the calling show, Omar. I think in the comments you're not happy, are you? From what I've seen. Yeah, Mo, I don't think so. I don't think so, Mo. No. No, from what we did for people that have just tuned in, we did a poll about whether Michael Carrick was a it's a good option, and if it's good news, if Michael Carrick is permanent manager, is it good news? And two-thirds of people said they thought it was good news. And then the conversation, we're just talking about Pep Guardiola because if you're looking at options out there and you pick one manager that's won the most in the Premier League over the last like 6, 7 years, then Pep Guardiola is that person. If you're looking at someone that has also won the Champions League, has also with more than one team, then Pep Guardiola, I suppose, is probably people are talking about Luis Enrique, but probably Pep Guardiola is probably up there. Apart from maybe Zidane's achievements with four Champions Leagues. Do I think a manager of higher status could attract better players, or do you think the club on its own has enough pull? I think a manager is always a factor. If you remember Manchester United we had Mourinho at the club, and Zlatan said that he only joined Manchester United because of Mourinho. He would have joined earlier if Mourinho had been a manager earlier at the club. I think if Manchester United got Mourinho after Sir Alex Ferguson, I think we might have attracted some bigger names, and it might have been a smoother transition. So I think if you're thinking about where you're going to work, and if you're choosing where to spend your career, then I think you look at it and go, yeah, of course. Like if you see a manager that's got a track record of winning trophies, then it's gonna gravitate you towards them. If you're going to spend 2 years at a club, you might look at it and go, okay, it's a bit like people jumping ship to Man United. Part of it's the club, but a lot of it was that Man United kept winning trophies in the 90s and early 2000s. And if you see Pep Guardiola, why's the menu going to Man City? Part of it might be money, but also they're assuming they're going to win things. And it's the same with like other clubs. Why did Gyökeres want to go to Arsenal, not Man United? He thought he had a chance of winning trophies in the next couple of years. Like he can't wait around for a Man United rebuild. It might not happen while he's at his peak. So I saw a comment by Clive, who's a Liverpool fan, and said I would take Pep for Liverpool. Yes, Slot. I think like Slot's got a good squad, but I don't think Slot's getting the best out of that squad. So you'd imagine you put a better manager in charge of Liverpool, and they should be able to win things as well. 100%. So the last stick in Carrick's appointment is to Jim, who is not a fan. And say Wilcox and Brada need to convince a stubborn owner. I mean, I don't think Jim Radcliffe should be having too much say in these sort of decisions. Like he's not. I don't know what. Apart from owning a stake in Manchester United, I'm not sure Jim Radcliffe brings a lot of insight to the kind of football world. And so Sky now is saying Carrick is about to be the new manager. The next step is getting those quality signings in as soon as possible. Yes, Sky must have been watching the stream, Curtis, must have seen that United TV was going live and got on board. But there's been a few people talk about this for about 48 hours, saying it's going to be close. So maybe this is going to be here we go this afternoon. This also screams Belieber, says Omar. How are you linking the two? Maybe it's going to be interesting to see if there's any signings that we're talking about. A few of the signings we've been linked to, like people talk about Hayden Hackney, people talk about Morgan Rogers. These are players that played for Middlesbrough, and these are players that know Carrick as well. So maybe it might be that Michael Carrick might have some say in the transfer window, which should be quite interesting. Can we get Jim to be a silent partner? I wish. Jim Ratcliffe's one of these people that anytime he does a press release, you probably think sometimes Jim is better to say nothing, like completely nothing. And Like if the Glazers put out a public statement, people would just be angry, and I don't think Jim Radcliffe could actually say anything positive or negative that would get people on board with what he's saying. I see what you've done there, Bilal. Very good, very good. I think you would do quite well there, to be honest. And Liverpool have got a good squad, haven't they? Um, well, Cake, I think in modern football, the head coach is there to coach, and there's going to be limited. Like, what can they? Like, what do you want them, Michael Carrick, to do? Like, when you say another puppet, how do you mean? Like, if a head coach goes to a club to coach, then that's their job, isn't it? That he's not a manager. He's not overseeing player procurement. He's got technical directors above him. He's got other people above him. I think it's just Michael Carrick's job is to coach the team into the best possible performance and work with the other coaches to achieve that aim. I'm not sure what he can do beyond that, but I say people talk about the manager like it's only him. I think most people realise that it's that all the coaches in turn. And regarding who signs the players, Michael Carrick's not going to have much say on the players. He might be there to advise, but he's not going to be able to. Like Michael Carrick's not going to be handpicking players at all, is he? So let me just have a quick check on the Pep Guardiola poll because I was generally interested to see. Wow, 64% say no, no, not much left for Pep Guardiola. To be honest, if I put Jurgen Klopp there, that would be even lower, wouldn't it? So yeah, Man United fans have spoken. We're 60, like two-thirds in favour of Carrick, and we're two-thirds against Guardiola. So fairly convincing, I think, fairly convincing on that one. So I just need to double check something. But if you've got any comments or questions about anything we've been discussing, so I've got this is Wednesday food delivery day, so I'm just checking. I've got like an hour, but I'm not going to do another hour long stream. But I'll take a few questions and comments. And people that just tuned in, if you watch loads of football content on YouTube, please share the stream if you can, and please click like on the video. Please leave a comment after the stream. If you tend to watch mainly other channels that are non-football related, then I'm trying to fix the algorithm issue on my channel. So please don't bother sharing and don't bother posting comments. If you predominantly watch non-football stuff, don't worry about this. Like, just enjoy the stream and just get involved in the comments if you want to. Um, Yanni said, I hope that next year during this time, I do have to tell you all that I told you. Are you hope that you do or you do not? Oh yeah, you hope you don't have to tell us this. Okay, quick question then for people that are a bit negative or people that are positive about like either way. What do you think like would be Manchester United's expectation like for next season if Carrick's in charge and the transfer window is roughly what we think it's going to be? A few midfielders, maybe a couple of other signings. Because I went to say hello to a Newcastle content creator I know on Toon Tactics TV, and one of the things I saw was the expectation from fans there towards Manchester United was they said we were going to finish between 20th and 28th in the Champions League. I thought that was nonsense. I think if Man United qualify for the Champions League, there's no way we're going to be in the bottom bit of the group stage. But if you look at Spurs, you look at Newcastle, they all did well in the Champions League. I'd be surprised if Man United is not at least in the top half of the league table, and if not pushing to try and get. No, we finished 15th in the league and came second in the Europa League group stage. The Champions League I know has been more difficult, but I'd be surprised if we're not doing okay with this one. Sebastian says my argument is full of mess, so I've been to dark places. Yeah, don't bother that one then. Say don't bother that one. Be up to you, Andy. Andy, I see you on a lot of YouTube channels. I'm trying to fix the algorithm issue on my channel. So if you're able to post comments or share the stream, etc., when we're live, but mainly like post comments and stuff after videos are finished, it'd just be appreciated because I want YouTube to know that this is a football channel, and for some reason it thinks it's a political channel, which obviously it's not. Um, Middle of the table in the Champions League, around 10 is the Champions League's about 32 teams, isn't it? That 32 in the group stage. So you're saying like 10 to 14. I think that United should be like definitely not knocked out in the first round. I would be surprised if Man United is not. Like, I'm going to say I think United might be higher than that, Yali. That I think they might be a bit higher than that one. I think our squad will be like you're saying it's too small to do well everywhere. I think that okay. I'm not going to say we're going to win the Champions League or be in a title race in the Premier League, but I think United might finish like inside the top 10 of the Champions League group. This is after the window, obviously not now, but I think after a good transfer window, we finish in the top 10. And Premier League wise, really difficult to say about a transfer window, but Premier League wise, I think United should be aiming to finish top four. Top four in the Premier League. This is kind of my minimum. Like, obviously, we have to make sure we don't drop down too much. I think Liverpool will improve. That'll be, and they've got a lot of good players already in a bigger squad already. So I do agree that squad's too small at the moment, but the idea is going to be that hopefully our squad improves. I might be wrong, but I was throwing numbers out there and say fourth in the Premier League, and I don't know eighth to tenth in the Champions League. That there's going to be some big teams there, but I don't see why we can't be in the mix. It depends on the draw, doesn't it? A lot of it depends on the draw and which teams we get to play. But I would be very surprised if Man United was in the bottom half of the Champions League group when it's all done and dusted. I think we'll be closer to the top end. But we'll see. We'll make a prediction. I'll do a video, so it'll be there. It'll be filmed. I'll get some guests on. We'll all make a prediction video, and then we can refer back to it over the year. And if we're wrong, we're wrong. But I mean, this season I said we finished seventh, and a lot of people had quite negative predictions. And maybe they got surprised. But I do agree, our squad is clearly not. It's not big enough as it stands. But the idea is going to be that the squad gets a bit bigger. And how much does it matter if Michael Carrick's in charge? Like, is Michael Carrick going to get worse out of the players next season? Because we might have potentially a couple of players that have already worked with Carrick, so that might again be quite a good thing. Cody said you predicted finishing fourth and we're finishing third. That's a really good prediction, then, to be honest. Cody says maybe do a phone in later. I'm going to try and dodge the I'm going to try and dodge the match tonight. So yeah, a calling show could be if Manchester United announce Michael Carrick as head coach, then I will try and do a calling show tonight if possible. I think Kieran's coming on as a guest. It might be that we can do something. I think we might try and miss the City game, but we could start a bit later, or we could start like I'll have to find out when he's available. But if Man United say here we go today on Carrick, we'll wait for confirmation and then do that. I think that's probably the best thing to do. Because then I think once something's happened, we can have a conversation, can't we? And then we can find out. But it's a good idea, Critters. We're going to be doing a few more corner shows this year, I think, to get more fans involved. So if you watched any of the recent calling shows or haven't, I put some chapters in so you can actually just rewatch them or watch bits of it and just hover over the bar at the bottom and it'll tell you which people are on. So you can have if you want to see what people have said, you can get involved with that one. And say fourth or third next season. I know the thing is that it's with Champions League football as well, isn't it? So a Champions League campaign plus getting the same position in the league, I think would still be it would be progress because the Champions League, and then once you've got Champions League football again, and you get more players into your squad, then maybe we should be looking for a title challenge. I don't see any reason why Man United can't cement Champions League position next season, try and challenge for something the year after. Like I don't see there being a problem with that. Like if you finish top four for a couple of years and your transfer window is moving in the right direction, you should be looking to try and challenge for the Premier League. Like, that's what you should be trying to do. So if you think about it, we've had 1 year at 15th, 1 year at third, but third with no Champions League football. Factor in Champions League. If we got third again next season and we did okay in the Champions League, I think next season you've got to try and be in a title race. Like you can't finish third and not be in a title race. You think we're going to stall next season and finish fifth? Maybe. It's. I think this is really difficult to predict, isn't it? Tony says I think we would have qualified for Champions League even with Amarin. So with Amarin, we were in fifth position. So I think we would have. I agree. I think we would have finished maybe about fifth with Amarin. I think we finished higher up with Carrick, but I think Amarin would have got fifth. Like the squad was improving, and I think that's the difference between 15th and fifth. A lot of it is down to the squad of the players. And Amarin was in fifth position when he got sacked. Michael Carrick got to third. So now I think you can see the difference, can't you? That's why I mean, if Man United improve the squad again, now maybe we can get maybe we get fourth for Carrick, third with like a different manager, or if we get fourth for Carrick, maybe a manager that doesn't work out quite so much gets like sixth or sixth maybe. I think the squad will be good enough to get a certain level, and I think the head coach won't be the biggest determining factor, if that means. I say United have rejected Barcelona's request for another loan. Just pay up, Barcelona. It's going to happen, isn't it? That I've seen a story this morning talking about Gordon, and I can't remember who it is. Bayern Munich might be talking to Gordon, but they don't want to match the valuation of their price. So yeah, it makes a bit of sense. Members priority. Well, I think with this one, like the call-in show, for people that channel members, there'll always be a bit of a priority as a thank you for being members of the channel. So that's that for all calling shows that will be the case, and it just depends on like, but everybody can come on, but there will be a priority, but everybody can come on. So it's and if we do a calling show tonight, I don't know if we're going to only do a calling show if there's like confirmation of Michael Carrick, in which case we will definitely do that. But what we will do is like members will always have a priority. We'll put a link in the members tab on the channel, but we will drop the link for everybody to try and get them on board. What we might do is like we might make the streams a bit shorter, and then it might be that members can come on for slightly longer. Like so, maybe it'll be like 10 minutes for members, 5 minutes for non-members, just to maybe do a stream for like an hour or so, but get lots of people through. If that makes sense. But the idea is to open it to everybody as well. I'll be up to you, Yoli. Um, so you would call in, but all we're doing is ranting about ownership. Do you know what I was going to say? With the calling show, I think you might have watched one on the weekend, but the calling shows are generally there for people to have a discussion about anything. And when we did it over the weekend, we had one on Saturday, which was predominantly about the match, and one on Sunday, which was kind of open, like, you can talk about transfers, you can talk about the ownership. You can do that, United Side Die. You're welcome to come on, and you're welcome to discuss like about the ownership if you want to. All I'd say is just because the YouTube channel, we are at the moment, growing slowly, I would say just don't come on and swear loads because YouTube doesn't like that sort of thing too much. But if you come on and make some sensible points, you're allowed to like shout about it if you want to. And to be honest, like you probably be saying things people agree with you. But no, or what you could do is maybe join a calling show when something good's happened. That if we beat Forest and Casemiro scores, Bruno gets an assist, and there's like good things to talk about. Maybe join that one as well and have a few things to say. I'd say Flick is signed till 2028. Very keen on Rashford. Yeah, it's going to cost more, isn't he? But then it's up to Barcelona to actually. Barcelona can negotiate with Rashford like salary wise anyway. So if they're offering whatever deal they're offering Rashford, then I'm sure Barcelona can find a way of getting it done. The transfer fee is not going to be that much. They pay stupid salaries to other players. They can get it done. So I think United just need to say, look, this is the price. They want him. There's not better options there. Like Gordon's not going to do what he does as well. If Actually, when you look at it, Mo, we did a vote, and only one third of people were not very. Only about a third of people were not happy with Carrick, so it was generally favourable. But people would just people just have different views. I think people are just apprehensive that Manchester United won't back the manager and make it difficult for him, which I think is a fair point. Like, I think most people watching would say that, did we? Yeah, United so die sounds nervous. Calling shows are a friendly environment, aren't they? That people that watch them, those people joined. I don't know if he's still in the chat, but Omar joined last couple now recently, and Broken Verdict joined recently as well for a new first time ever. So there's been quite a few first time callers on the channel, and I think Ryan joined a few weeks ago. So it's something that people are able to do, and it's quite good to get people on. So let's close the Pep Guardiola poll because I don't think anybody. Oh, so it's actually 60-40. So this was one where I put this poll in the comments just for interest because I have no idea what people would say. But would you take Pep Guardiola as coach? 39% of people would say yes. So it's not a categorical no from YouTube viewers on the channel. It's a yeah, it's kind of a maybe. But Boba says, yeah, it's good to hear different opinions, isn't it? That even like cake, like if you have very different views, if you have different views from me, then calling in is perfect because it gives everybody a completely different view. And if I've said this to regular viewers, a sort of regular guests as well, they're always welcome to jump in on the call-in show. And just like no, if we have 10 people on for 5 minutes each, I think it makes really good content for an hour where people can just hear lots of different views and consider different opinions. Um, what I'll say is like for now, I'll be live for like another 10 minutes. If people got some final questions that you got, there will be, like I said, there will be a calling show as soon as like something happens, like concrete. If Michael Carrick is here, we go today. We will do a calling show tonight. If not, then the stream tonight will probably be a news conversation with myself and um and myself and Kieran. But if you had to choose a manager, you'd be going for Luis Enrique or Conte and say, but if none of those are available, I will stick with Carrick. Maybe that's the situation. Like maybe that's the situation Man United find themselves in. Maybe they looked at Enrique as an option, but it wasn't available. And maybe Carrick is there to see how he does. But also, I think with Carrick, I think Carrick is there as a safe option. Like we're not going to finish 15th with Carrick. Do I want Carrick? I think given like the options, that there doesn't seem to be any option that Man United are seriously considering. So at the moment, I think Michael Carrick might be a manager that's maybe there to. Honestly, I think he's going to be there for like 1 to 2 years, and then Man United might go for a different head coach. But the idea with Carrick is we're not going to get worse. We're going to be hopefully consistent, and I don't see there being options on the table. If we're looking at Areola or Carrick, I'm not sure. I'm not sure what happens with that one. But you guess Carrick is the best of all available coaches. If he was given a say in the summer recruits, he might turn out to be decent. He's got his hopeless group to third. So I think some of the players aren't hopeless, though. I think that's the question. I don't think these people are hopeless. So I think you've got to give him some credit, but also you've got to give some credit to um, the players. Like you have to give some credit to some of these people. But Mazunan, welcome to the chat. Now, I think most people think this, don't they? That Carrick is who's going to be the first person to announce it? Like, who's going to be the first person to say, "Here we go"? Like, is it going to? Well, actually, the only person who does that is probably going to be Fabrizio. But no, if anyone sees anything trending that follows me on social media, please post it. What I'll do, I'll post the channel links for people that are interested. So that if you are on Discord or you are on Twitter, then you can like tag me in. So I usually post it in the stream, but I forgot today. So I'll put the socials there. So we'll have to get some food, and then I'll look for the. There's going to be an evening stream, but I'm not sure what time we're going to do it. So it might be that we do it after the City game rather than before it. But I need to message Kieran to find out when he's free. But if I see something, then we can do it tonight possibly. And so when is the meeting? So Jolly, it's not today. Maybe it'll be tomorrow then. But what we'll do is that depending on when the news breaks, just because we'll, yeah, what I can do is I can be, a calling show can be organised quite quickly. So if Manchester United are going to be having a meeting, and it does seem to be that that's going to be the case, then when it's announced, like Ryan thinks it's already announced, say it's already done. It's just when it's announced. I'm wondering if there's going to be announcements before the last game. That could be something that happens. I say it'll be announced by Laurie Whitwell, says Blau. Yeah, actually, that's probably. I think if you look for Laurie Whitwell, maybe Andy Mitten, David Ornstein is usually quite quick at saying things that are official. Obviously, like for Fabrizio, will be trying to get in there as well. We'd imagine that it would be probably announced. It'll be like suddenly it'll be announced everywhere, won't it? So everybody will be talking about it quite quickly. But what we can do is we can like organize a call-in show to get everybody's views on that one as well. Leffer, if you want to come on and say your reasons, but yeah, afternoon, Genghis. They don't start. Hopefully, Rob. Um, does this mean Morgan Rogers is signing? Honestly, I don't know. I'm not massively keen on Morgan Rogers signing, but if he did sign, then logic would kind of link them together, wouldn't they? If Michael Carrick stays, then I think as a Man United fan, if Michael Carrick became say it got announced tonight or yesterday or in a couple of days that he was going to be permanent manager or head coach of Manchester United, I think a lot of people would be looking at people like Rodgers who were at Middlesbrough, people like Hayden Hackney who's worked under Carrick as well, and there would be a lot of links with these players. But it might be quite similar to when we got Ruben Amorim as coach. We were linked to so many players from Sporting, like over. I know there must have been quite a few, like Hillman, you got Gyökeres, you got Quenda. I think there was like one or two other players as well, which I've forgotten about at the moment. But we got linked to so many players from Sporting, and we signed none of them. So it might just be paper talk. Like, as soon as Carrick comes in, and I think it's going to happen, I think the journalists will be pushing every single story about X. Like, there's certain players that have worked with Carrick. Hayden Hackney is a good one because Manchester United need a midfielder. Hayden Hackney is player of the season this year for the championship. So that's a player that's in very good form. And then you look at it, situation, and go, also it's a player that Man United could use. The Morgan Rogers one is a bit different because he's a lot of money. Does Michael Carrick have the power to like influence Man United's transfers? I do not know. If that would be, getting Hackney is a cheap deal, and I think Hackney suiting most head coaches. The question could be really is that if you're going to back the manager with a signing, Hackney's actually quite cheap, isn't he? Like there's lots of options for midfield. Hackney's actually quite cheap signing, so it could be a way of giving Carrick a bit of a say. But again, it's quite low risk, isn't it? It's a bit more risky if someone came in and said, "I want, I know Diamonde, and I want to get who else would be quite expensive." Or you have like, say, you've got quite expensive signings, or someone comes in and go, right, I definitely want you to break the bank for Tonali, or I definitely want you to spend like 70 plus million on Belieber, then maybe these would be deals that are more, where the club would go, actually, no, we're going to go down this route. What are these Embuemo rumours, says Genghis? So I haven't actually talked about the Embuemo rumours at all because I think it's probably a load of rubbish. But I'll just put it out there. This is something that IndyCarla posted this morning at about 10 or something. I have seen YouTube channels talking about it, but they said that apparently several clubs across England are keen to sign Mbeumo this summer and say it's a story to keep an eye on as the transfer window approaches. This is what they put out there. And they're saying it's interesting whispers about Brian Mbeumo. He might be available for a transfer after one season. So my initial reaction is I think it's very, very unlikely that Mbeumo would be leaving the club unless Manchester United are having like a massive. No, I don't know, unless there's something that none of us have seen. Yeah, I don't know. I don't know. So it's been described as like, yeah, I would say take it with like a handful of salt, and so it's there as like a opinion piece. But let's be honest, like no one believes that's going to happen. So I think IndyCar got it right with Belieber. Since then, it's very, very questionable. So I don't think Mbeumo's for sale, and that's why the story's there. But if you want to know, that's the story. That there is no more information than that. So Michael Carrick will probably be appointed head coach, and Buemo is probably not for sale. I don't think Man United are looking to sell him. But yeah, you probably have to take a life-threatening amount of salt with that one. Then yeah, I think you're dead if you have that much Yachty. And to be honest, the easy thing to do is like I went through the stories this morning, and when I saw this one, I saw it, I screenshotted it, I uploaded it, and I thought I'll put that in the background in case somebody asks about it. But I'm not going to say it's a categorical probability. I think it's something that if that was a story, if that was a story, it would be. Can you imagine a story that size not being picked up by Ornstein and other credible journalists? So no, that for me sounds very very unlikely. But yeah, I say Morgan is like another 9.5 like Xerxes. Yeah, I think it's yeah, it makes sense. So, okay, I'll go for a few comments before I finish. Then I got another 5 minutes or so. Jay says we will not be selling Mbuemo. He's not been here long. Next season, you see the best of Mbuemo. He was playing really well before AFCON. Next season, he'll show his true class. Niche fan says it makes perfect sense to sell Mbuemo. He's not needed, so he may as well cash as soon as possible. Why do you think he's not needed? Like, if Man United are going to sell a player that's on the right hand side, wouldn't they sell Amajalo, who doesn't really get assists, doesn't really score goals? Wouldn't they sell him? And Buemo can actually defend. Amajalo doesn't really do a lot of that. I don't know. I don't know. But next season it might be in a 4-3-3, so it might be very different. To be honest, I would sell yeah, I think Amajalo would be gone before Mbuemo in like based on based on what we're looking at. Ahmed is more versatile. Is he though? I don't know. Where'd you play Ahmad though? Because if you're playing a 4-3-3, you kind of need your front players to actually be able to score goals and generate assists. And Buemo's done that over this whole season. Ahmad hasn't really done that. So I don't know, but I don't think he is for sale. But it's worth discussing at some point regarding that one. Ahmad is a 10, plays better there. Yeah, I suppose if United looking at replacing them, yeah, I don't know. And Mo said, I saw an interview on the United app the other day, and Bremer was talking about how he couldn't wait to play Champions League football at Old Trafford. So, yeah, and I think I think Mbeumo is definitely going to be in the first team next season. I'd be surprised. I don't think Man United are going to buy many players along that side. So, um, yeah, where's the proof that Ahmad Diallo is going to be effective in the 10? I suppose is the question. That have you seen it happen? Has he looked effective in the 10? Does it look like Amajalo is going to be able to create a lot of chances? For me, Amajalo looks like he's on the ball too long and doesn't make passes quick enough. So I don't know. If he played instead of Bruno Fernandes, I think we'd struggle. So yeah, I'll have to admit I've not watched Sunderland. I didn't watch Sunderland play with Amajalo there. So maybe when he was there in the Championship, he did well there. So I can't really comment. But yeah, I don't know. I get the feeling that Man United will do a 4-3-3. I think Mbeumo will be on the right. I think we'll have Cunha on the left. And I think we'll have Sesko down the middle. And I think Man United will be rebuilding behind that one. And I think you think our marquee signing will be Morgan Rogers, and our two midfield signings will be Edison plus Baliba. I don't think we'll finish mid-table for a start. And I don't think we're going to be signing Edison as well. So no, I don't think we're going to be signing players. I don't think we're going to sell Amujalo or Mbuemo because I'm pretty sure we're going to sell Xerxes and Garte, and I don't think we can replace that many players in one window. So yeah, I don't think so. So his most consistent seasons is the Bassis, and Barnsley look better as a wing back. You're saying he looks better on the right wing. Yeah, no, whatever's happening with Von Majolo, it's not really working out that well. So there was rumor that there was a link to Sunderland, but honestly, I don't know if that's the case. I don't know if but I don't think Man United would consider selling him because it just looks like we've got too much to do as it is. So the players we look at in the squad that maybe people would sell, like some people say they'd sell Almajolo, some people say they'd sell Dallo, for instance, and a couple of people today are saying that one person says they'd sell Mbuemo. I just don't think United can replace that many players. Like I don't think we can replace that many players in 1 year. Like if we replace Xerxes, don't forget we're replacing Rashford probably with a winger. We need to replace Rasmus. We need to replace Xerxes and Agate, and there's just a lot of things to do. So I don't think that we're going to be replacing like the whole team in one window. You have to be realistic. You could get 65 from Buemo, but then you don't have many attacking options in the team, do you? You've got effectively Cunha, Dorgu, Almajolo, and Sesko. So you could sell Buemo, but I would say I'd probably sell Almajolo over that one. Is there any chances that under Carrick some players will change their positions, like Ahmed becoming a midfielder? I don't know what's Ahmed's dual win rate percentage. I'm not sure he'd be that effective. Yeah, I would imagine if Man United sold them Buemo, who are we going to buy as a winger? I don't think it would make any sense this summer. And Buemo might actually improve next season as well. Cunha as an eight. Um, to be honest, I don't know. There is maybe potential for Man United to actually change the way they play, and maybe that would be a different factor. It probably depends on which players they sign. If they did sign a top quality left winger, maybe there is scope to move someone like Cunha around a bit. But I think a lot of it's going to be dependent on the transfer window. At the moment, the team could evolve a bit next season, but it's really difficult to predict that, isn't it? I don't think anyone's going to be able to predict what's exactly going to happen. I think Shea Lacey is actually going to be loaned out. For people that want to see more of Lacey, I think Lacey might be going out on loan, and that's what the club said a week ago that you're looking at this one. And would I take Robert Lewandowski on a free? He's I don't know. It's isn't he close to 40? I'm not sure. I'm not sure with that one, Jay. On a free, it's a huge name, isn't it? And he's had a very good career. I'm not sure. Then there's instances where it's worked out quite well. I think Cavani did okay, but Cavani for the second year didn't do much at all. Like the first year, he was good. I think you can point to other players that they've had. I'd be intrigued. I'd be intrigued. He's a very obviously had a very good playing career. His salary might be very high. I don't know what to think, honestly. It would be like a fifth. I don't know. I don't think Man United would necessarily do that one, but it would be a bit bizarre. And he said you take Lewandowski. Yeah, I can see why people might take him. Does he get? But I don't know. It feels a bit like a strange one, doesn't it? But if anyone's got any final questions, though, as I said to start with, if you watch loads of football content on YouTube, then please share the stream and leave comments on the video after a live stream is finished because I'm trying to kind of sort out YouTube regarding like what it's mapping my channel to at the moment. So if you watch loads of political content, then please don't share the streams and maybe don't comment in the short term. Just trying to fix the algorithm, if that makes sense. I will do like a I will do like a short video on this just to kind of illustrate the problem with some screenshots because it's a bit annoying. Um, so you think Benjamin Sesko would learn from Robert Lewandowski? It could be. I remember when we had Cavani, I was hoping that the younger strikers we had at the time would really work out, but in the end, it didn't really work out. It was a bit disappointing. But I think it could work, couldn't it? One thing I did see, I remember Rashford scoring a couple of headers after we had Cavani, and Cavani was obviously very good at a lot of things. So it could be useful, couldn't it? I don't mind getting because of Sesko's experience or his age. I don't mind getting someone a bit older or a bit younger. But again, it would be a very short-term thing, wouldn't it? So I'll be a bit reluctant to give him the sort of contract that Cavani had because Cavani, yeah, he was okay for a little bit, wasn't he? Okay for a little bit. But one of the things I liked about Cavani is Cavani used to drift into the right position. I think sometimes if you watch Cavani, it was like he knew when to arrive at the right time, and it was something that is a difficult skill set to master. I think where you see like maybe someone like Rasmus, he would run into the space too early, then get marked out of it. Whereas Cavani, if you used to watch him, he'd kind of like not get involved in the play until the right moment. And then Cavani would drift in and then just finish chances. So I think that Cavani's off the ball work and his ability to find space and the ability to choose his runs was like world class. Like, and Cavani's quality was world class. So yeah, he used to make the best runs off the ball. Like Sandy, it's one of those players that you just know is like levels above, like a lot of other players, intelligent off the ball. It's not about having to fight defenders. I think Cavani made it look quite easy. That was the difference. So Martinez as a backup striker to Sesko, says Alex Ferguson. Yeah, I think that'll be divisive to be honest. But yeah, that might be interesting. Yeah, Cavani the first season I really liked, and then it kind of dropped off a bit, didn't it? But I think Cavani potentially, he's one of those players that a few years earlier, I think a really good signing. But when we got him, yeah, just a bit past his best, really. But guys, I'm gonna have to head off. If you're, as I said at the start, if you're able to rewatch the first sort of 5 minutes of the video or the stream, there's some important information on the channel. First, kind of about five to 7 minutes, and it's just about trying to work out like what YouTube's doing with the channel at the moment. If the channel's been pushed in the wrong direction by YouTube, I think it's like finding its way into viewers that aren't really interested in football. So if you're able to watch the first, say, say first like 5 minutes, maybe first 5 to 7 minutes, I think it'll give you information there. If you want to help, want to get involved, like please, all it does require is just people just sharing the video or sharing the video or leaving comments, but it depends on what YouTube content you consume as to whether it's worth you doing that or not. So if you just watch 5 minutes, I'll do like a short video or something, but it is really appreciated because there's a great community on here, and it'd be great to expand the community. So yeah, if you're able to rewatch the first, say like 5 minutes or so, there's a bit of a channel update about what I found behind the scenes, and if you can actually watch that, it'd be massively appreciated. And thanks for getting involved if you can, and I will respond to comments and things as well. But again, it depends what channel content you consume as the user. If you're someone that watches loads of football content, it really applies. If you don't watch much football content and you watch lots of other stuff as well, then it's useful for you to watch as well because it might really help a lot. But thanks for watching, guys. We've covered a lot of stuff tonight, and we will be live later this evening. It depends on whether we go at 7 p.m. or maybe at 10 p.m. based on my guest availability, because there's a match that playing between 8 and 10. So we'll probably avoid that, but we will be live later on tonight. But then, guys, thanks for watching. Take care, and we'll catch you guys in the next one.